All right now.
Patrick Mahomes is basically God playing quarterback.
Chiefs Kingdom
live.
They want it. They want it.
Yeah, when it's grim, be the Grim Reaper. Go get it.
That's a different tier right there, baby.
Yeah, we're not having a snowball fight.
Three. No one's ever got three. I want back-to-back pass.
The Lombardi Trophy is a red and gold reflection. Touchdown! Kansas City! One of the greatest duos in the history of the National Football League. Patrick Mahomes to Travis Kelce.
Let's go.
Do it live. You gotta fight for your right to fight.
It'll get handled when it gets handled.
Let's go. Let's go.
You can get handled.
Let's go.
Howdy,
That's
Chiefs
right.
Kingdom. It's Wednesday. It's 8 o'clock. It's Chiefs Kingdom Live. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, real quick, if you wouldn't mind, before you forget, make sure to click and tap that like and click and tap the subscribe button. Maybe tell a friend, tell a family member. I don't know if you want to tell any other Chiefs fans right now, but we'd sure appreciate helping grow the show.
Chiefs fan in need of support, let them know.
Right. Super Bowl didn't go so good, but we got a good show lined up for y'all tonight. We're going to talk about it. Still a lot to keep your heads and your chins up about in Chiefs Kingdom. So hopefully, if you're really bummed out and down about the game, you'll feel a little bit better about it after tonight. Looks like the chat's filling up in here. We got Big Doug. Looks like Freddie is watching with Big Doug. Dylan, Janet's in the house. Laney's in there. Maybe Big Chris or Kevin or Maria or somebody will show up in here. That's right, Dylan. There's a lot to still be happy about with this Chiefs team. Like, it always feels like the end of the world until you kind of like really start thinking about things and whatnot. But fellas, how we doing tonight? Bo, are you your spirits been lifted at all here recently?
It's only 3 days removed. I'm doing all right. Yeah, it sucks. I mean, that sucks, right? I mean, we were all in agreement that there's nothing like getting your ass kicked to just humble you right up. No, got served a slice of humble pie in front of a bunch of Eagles fans too at the Super Bowl party. It was a good mix of Chiefs and Eagles fans, and they were loving life, and they let us know how happy they were. So, just had to suffer that, and then Monday I was flying home through the airport, and I still had this hat, and you just get it from all angles, and it's just so funny because half these guys aren't even Eagles fans. They just like they see the Chiefs lose, and I'm okay with it. I like it because like I'm not a dick. I'm a very talkative guy. Somebody will start talking shit to me and be like, "Oh yeah, who's your team?" And it's like like the Seahawks. The Seahawks like, "Oof, how did that go this season?" Right? So you were watching our team again, right? So, I mean, it sucks to lose the Super Bowl, but man, dude, like. We lost the Super Bowl. Oh man, boo hoo. We'll get over it over here. But Nick, how you doing over there?
Yeah. I mean, had better weeks. I work with like almost exclusively Philadelphia Eagles fans, so so that was a little rough. But look, sometimes you just gotta take an ass whooping, and you gotta you win with character, you lose with character, right? And like. You made a good point. It's like, well, like, who's your team? And I'll tell you that being the team that everybody wants to like get right in your face when you lose is a lot better than being like the Bills, where like everybody's like, oh, sorry about that guy. Like, oh man, that's really rough. Here, we got this MVP trophy that we're gonna give you. Like, I mean, it sucks. Like, there's no getting around it. It was a no doubter, right? So it's not even like you get any sort of like illusion that like, oh, well, this could have happened or that could have happened. You just went in, just got your ass beat. And that's where we're at this week, guys. And so it's time to, move on. There were some promising things there right at the end of the game that you saw with Xavier Worthy and Patrick Mahomes. And you're like, okay, like that was like this like very, very thin silver lining on that game where you walk away and you're like, dude, Xavier Worthy just as a rookie had, like 160 yards and 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl.
Crushing
And
in the playoffs. Yeah.
we've got Rashee Rice coming back next year. And like when you look at like Rice and Worthy and Mahomes and stuff, like, so the future is definitely bright here. And so, but it didn't make the loss any better. So, Scotty, how you doing?
Well, now that Nick just brought up all the bright spots in the introduction, we won't have to do that part of the show later. I'm doing good, man. Look, I took the loss surprisingly well. I don't know, I still had that feeling like going back to like the Tampa Bay Super Bowl loss. Like they're gonna come back. They're gonna come back. I don't like even when they were down 27-0. I was like, bro, like a couple quick touchdowns, like a turnover. You know what I mean? Like we've seen this team do that so many times. So, and then when it was over, like I don't know. I just really have a hard time being disappointed with going to the Super Bowl 5 times in 6 years and winning 3 of them. Like if you would have told me 6 years ago, listen, you can lock this in right now. You're going to go to 5 Super Bowls. You're going to win 3 of them. The 2 you're going to lose are kind of going to be maybe beatdowns. You're going to sign up for that right now. I mean, that would be a hard deal to not take right now. With Patrick Mahomes, maybe you wouldn't necessarily jump on that deal because you're thinking, well, Patrick Mahomes might win all 5 of them. But, it was definitely disappointing, man, like with the 3-peat right on the line. But I don't know, like I just was thinking like for somehow my mind just went to the bigger picture, right? Like Dylan was saying, there's a lot to be happy about in Chiefs Kingdom being a fan of this team. And I don't, you talk about all these people wanting to talk trash, and I get that we just lost the Super Bowl, but the Chiefs have been the dynasty the last 5 or 6 years. Like I'd rather be the hated winner than the lovable loser, like Nick was talking about with being a Bengals fan or a Bills fan or one of these other bum ass poverty franchises that like hasn't been to a Super Bowl in these people's lifetime or ever. I saw like Lions fans talking trash, and I'm like, bro, you fucking never even been to a Super Bowl. So, I don't know, seeing all that like the hate, especially from these like fan bases of teams that we've just stomped all over for the last 5 or 6 or 7 years. Kind of like gave me something to laugh about, right? Kind of lifted my spirits a little bit. So. But I'm doing better day by day, and I didn't take the loss as hard as I don't think a lot of people did somehow on Twitter. I guess we just talk about the game. I mean, I don't know. It's pretty obvious what went wrong, right? Like their inability to protect Patrick all season really came up and nipped him, and was their undoing, right? In the end, on the biggest game of the year in the Super Bowl, it's remarkable they were able to make it as far as they did. I think that says a lot about the coaching, and I think that has a lot to do with just like the overall big picture or whatever. But I mean, I don't know what else there is, Nick. It just like it was an issue all year, right? And it was just too much to overcome against that team and that defensive line and that overall defense, right?
Yeah. We saw it earlier in the season. They were able to manage, but Patrick not being comfortable impacted the whole team, right? And this is a team that like Patrick Mahomes accounted for over like 70 something % of the team's overall yards. And so if you can't make, if he's not going, the team's not going, right? And, kudos to the Eagles. They took advantage of the Chiefs' biggest weakness. And they just, they smashed him in the mouth with 4 rushers. It was really similar to the Super Bowl 42, the undefeated, Patriots, right? Going up against the Giants. The Giants got pressure with 4 and really locked down the Patriots. I mean, it was really similar to that. The only difference was the defense wasn't able to hold the Eagles to basically no points, right? And so it just got out of hand, and really, by halftime, that game, like in my mind, was pretty much over. Like the people were bringing up the 24-0 comeback and stuff.
I I was
But
texting that.
yeah, look, and you want to have hope, right? Like you want to think like, hey, like they can turn this around, and you don't want to like feel like you're giving up on your team. But I mean, it was pretty bleak at that point, right? Like in the 24-0 game, you could see where the Chiefs had kind of shot themselves in the foot, and there wasn't really like a lot of that going on in that Super Bowl. That was just the Chiefs like their offense looked totally inept, unable to really do anything. So yeah, so I mean that's really kind of how the whole game felt.
Yeah, dude, I agree with you completely. That left tackle issue has not only been an issue just all year, but I mean it's almost a perennial issue all year. I think we've had actually 5 different left tackles every year we've gone to the Super Bowl, right? So it's not been a consistent position for the team. And this year I mean, we did some, we were able to put some duct tape on the O line by moving some guys around, and it was working, but that Philly defense was just ready, and man, did they hand it to us. Like you guys said, kudos to them. You got to give them their props. They came in so prepared, and I don't know if the moment just got too big, or I don't know if they just came in under like too confident. But whew, that was all phases of the ball just didn't seem to. I mean, the defense had some good spots, man, but like at the same time they got 40 dropped on them. But it's just hard when you're only off for a play, and then you're starting on the 14 and they score, and it's like they just got put in a lot of bad positions. But like not making any excuses for anybody, that was just pitiful in all ends. But some more silver linings a little bit though. We've got room for the draft now. I think like all these delusions about like who like are we gonna get another weapon and all this stuff. I think it really forces us to like really focus down and like really build a team around Patrick Mahomes, a lot like these other teams do around their quarterback, right? You got to protect this guy. The fact that we haven't been able to do that for like 2 years now is kind of a little ridiculous. It's just what I'm looking at in the draft, and everything I've heard from analysts is just not a lot of guys coming to form. They're not looked at as elite linemen, especially when you're picking 31st in the draft. So I mean, we got a slim pool to pick from as it is, but hey, that's why we got Brett Veach. That's why we got everybody in the front office. They do magic. Usually our first round picks aren't the ones that turn out to be the all-stars, but Scott nailed it. That way, I think that front four just overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they didn't even blitz once, right? That's that you just
Yeah,
can't have that.
yeah, that was the entire game, right? And really, like the defense played well enough to keep us in that game. If if the offense can get going,
Right.
and so like, but the offense just really just could not get going, and it really came down to the pressure on the front four. They tried a couple of run plays, got nowhere, right? I know that there's a lot of criticism over you got to try to establish the run, but when you're only getting 2 or 3 plays, like, and then you don't have the ball anymore, like you don't have the opportunity to establish the run. Like when you run on 2nd and 10 and it's 2nd or 3rd and 8, like what are they supposed to do? Run the ball, right? So I mean, I don't give them too much like of a hard time about the running game. Aside from I told you guys they're going to trot Pacheco out there first, right? That they weren't going to start the game with Hunt, but
Oh yeah, we knew that. Yeah, that wasn't
super disappointing that. I mean, just to not give Patrick like really like any opportunity to make plays was a tough watch, man. I mean, the hardest game I think I've ever had to watch as a fan, because at least in the Tampa Bay Super Bowl, like Patrick was like basically playing superhuman football, right? And it was just like everybody else kind of was dropping the ball.
right.
But this was just like there was just nothing really redeeming about that game. And I mean, I was starting to like wonder like if we were going to score any points in the game towards the end. I was just like, dude, are we like going to get shut out in this game? You know what I mean? Like, holy fuck!
What?
It's like really
34-0 at one point, right?
Yeah,
Third
yeah.
quarter, late in the third quarter.
Right.
Yeah, sorry, I got internet connection. Ain't the best here. I went Aaron Rodgers here. Everybody probably noticed I'm in a different spot. I went on a
Scott went dark this week.
I'm in a hole in the ground in the middle of nowhere right now. So no, look, yeah. the offense wasn't going to be able to do a whole lot. I just came in. You guys talked about running the ball right and the lack of running, and they only had 9 rushing attempts. I mean, the few times they did run the ball, the defensive line was in the backfield as soon as like the handoff was taking place, right? I mean, you have to be able to block to run. So I think he had a better chance of Patrick being able to, with his escapability, right, and his ability to maybe like get out and make plays on the run. I felt like he was your best shot, and everybody gives him a bunch of crap and talks about all that. There was some accounts, and people need to get a grip, right? Like there were some people saying this is the worst quarterback performance I've ever seen in my entire life. I was like, tell us you never watched Tyler Palco or Tyler Thigpen play football without telling us you never watched those guys play football, right? I mean, give me a break, dude. Like the guy made plays, and even when he did, like the one interception on the pick six was a bad play, but I mean the sack strip fumble that's not on him. The one interception that really kind of buried the Chiefs there, that gave the Eagles the ball at the 14-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Tooney, I'm not going to give him too much of a hard time because he's playing out of position, and he did, an admirable job the last quarter of the year in the first couple playoff games. But I mean, he got pushed into Patrick as he's throwing the ball, right? I mean, you could see on the replay the ball just like came wobbling out of Patrick's hands when he like got hit from the side. So I don't know. When all hell's breaking loose and nothing's working, I trust 15 to make the miracle plays, right? Like, if this is going to work, man, like we'll put all of our eggs in that basket, because they were not going to be running the ball with the way they were getting blown up on the offensive line, right? I mean, would you guys have ran the ball more? I mean, I don't really.
No.
Well, I mean, all right, maybe more than 7 or 9 times, whatever it turned out to be, right? Like that seems like just a little too few to even try to like act like you're confusing the defense. I mean, maybe not run up the middle on 1st and 10, maybe some sweeps to the outside, maybe change it up. I don't know, maybe mix up your O-line a little bit. I mean, you're having no success. It's 24 points down. I mean, you're going for broke at this point. I probably would have ran it just, I mean, it's hard to say because, I'm with you. I'd always trust the ball in 15's hands anyway, right? But I guarantee, looking back, like he might even say mix it up just a little bit more. I mean, he's as humble of a guy as he is, right? He's trying to say he let the team down. He didn't make passes. He tried to do too much. He's got to get back to basics. And there's like a little fundamental truth in that, right? Even though he's just being humble and he knows, like, he obviously didn't have a great game either, right? Where we're used to seeing him pull it out, but yeah, I mean. It surprised me they didn't run it as much, but again, like Pacheco got technically like 30-40% of the carries, right? Like we talked about this last week. It would have been Hunt in my eyes. I would have changed it up to do that a little bit.
Kareem Hunt
Like I
only
said,
got
try to bounce it up to the
3 of those
outside.
carries.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I understand what you're saying. Go ahead, Scott.
I'm saying, like, do people think if they would have ran the ball 10 or 15 more times, they would have won the game? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't like that. To me, like, not running the ball enough was not like why they lost the game. Maybe they could have kept it closer, but I mean, all the stuff I was seeing was as soon as the ball was snapped, like the Eagles' defensive linemen were in the backfield. So,
right. No, I'm not saying like that would have changed the outcome of the game by any means. We got blown out of the water, right? But at some point, it didn't look good going for passes every down either when you knew exactly what was going to happen, right? And they're getting to you with 4, so it's just like. You got to change something up at some point. I mean, yeah. Nick.
Yeah, look. The only thing I think they could have done is maybe if they had some design runs for Patrick, because he seems to be the only person that was like, I don't know, on the team that this year, not in that game. Obviously, nobody did anything in that game, but
maybe
like this year, he's like the only. He's he's the leading rusher in the Super Bowl. He's the leading rusher in the AFC Championship. So sitting there and saying that, giving the ball to Isaiah Pacheco, who, look, let's be honest, coming back from injury, looked like a shell of himself for whatever reason, and he was a good back, but he was a replacement level back, right? To start with, so giving the ball to those guys, I mean, I don't think, like you said, Bo, like, it wasn't gonna sway the game, right? And really, I don't know. Like, I've been thinking about this. Like, the Chiefs now have been in 5 Super Bowls, right? With Andy Reid, And it's like they've been down 10 points in every one of the games at one point, right? Now, 2 of them they didn't come back, and it got worse than 10 points, and then 3 of them they were able to come back. But it's like, at what point do the Chiefs look and say, okay, so maybe like this is like, like a problem, right? Like, how do we come out and play? Because I mean, I really like didn't think we were going to struggle to start, and then we struggled the whole game, and it's just. I know that there's like you see a lot of overreaction. So I want to clarify what I'm saying. I'm not saying like the Chiefs should get rid of Andy Reid, right? I'm not saying that like the coaching staff needs to go or anything. Like, I think that saying that after you went to 3 straight Super Bowls is probably one of the dumber things I've ever seen anybody say online, which is saying something. But like, it should be, what are we doing to prepare and get the team ready for those games so that, they can put themselves in a better position starting out,
Yeah, slow starts have been a big issue. The first Super Bowl against the 49ers, I want to say the Chiefs came out and they scored first, right? They got up 7-0, but then got down 10 in that game and had to come back. So, yeah, it's definitely an issue. And, you look at it, and I mean, coaching's got to have something to do with it, right? I mean, and Andy Reid took a lot of the blame. He said it starts with him, their inability to get going early. We've talked about this before. I'm always going to put a majority of the onus of the success or the failures on the players, right? I know a lot of people want to say, oh, since Matt Nagy's come here, our offense has kind of sucked. Well, look at the playmakers, quote unquote, we've had on the team. Like, we were able to win Super Bowls with Matt Nagy as OC, right?
Right.
Matt Nagy ain't out there getting blown up on the line, getting the shit beat out of him. So, Bo, how much you think it has to do with coaching, game plan, the way they've been starting?
I don't think there's a call necessarily for the coaches to be fired. I haven't seen that, if there is, right? I've seen people being okay with Nagy to leave, but I think everybody's well aware that Andy's kind of the play caller, the top dog on that one. And he's just more of like a middleman. He relays the play essentially that Andy wants called. Sorry, forgive me. But no, I agree with Scott. I think the onus is on the players. We've been able to win with. I mean, if you look at the receiving cores we've had in Super Bowls, dude, Kadarius Toney, like that. Sorry, he's in the chat for fun reasons, apparently.
Yeah.
Sky Moore, Mecole Hardman. I agree with Scott. I think it's like the playmate. We've been able to do this with like such a lack of playmakers on our teams, and then this year we had such an injury bug that like I feel like gets overlooked completely. Whereas like if any other team suffered it, that'd be why they didn't have a great year. But what did we do? Oh, we went essentially 15-1, gave up one because everybody's rested. You know what I mean? Had like one of the better years Super Bowl champions ever had. It's like I'm not even worried about the coaching. It was just like I said. I just think everybody that was everybody's F game matched up against everybody's Eagles A game on all 3 sides of the ball and coaching, right? Like we got out coached, we got outplayed. I think like defensively, we just focused way too much on Saquon, and like to their credit, they nailed that game plan, right? Like the joke on every talking show has been like, if you would have said Saquon's gonna have 25 carries and only this amount of yards, 0 touchdowns, everybody would sign up for that. And I myself included, because I thought that was like the biggest key, shut him down. They played chess on that one, right? They're like, all right, so we just got to nail everything, and they did that. I think it just kind of goes back to what I was saying about the draft. Like, I think now it's just you guys got to rebuild and really rethink about what you're going to do around Patrick and really try to get him some decent weapons other than all these backups that we've had.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the coaching staff, should they find themselves, and I expect this team to be back in the Super Bowl. I mean, as early as next year, the year after, right? I mean, come on. Like, we're going to talk about kind of some positives here pretty quick instead of dwelling on the negatives for an hour and then, oh, well, have a good night. You know what I mean? Like, but the coaching, definitely they need to look at, like, how can we start better? Like, what can we do to not get in these holes to where Carrington Harrison on the local radio, he made a really, really good point. I don't always agree with everything that he says, but he said, it kind of reminded me of a lot of Chiefs games where Chiefs come out, especially Super Bowls, and they get behind, and it's like, oh, Pat, save us. You know what I mean? Like the game plan is like, well, Patrick will we've called him football Jesus or whatever. He performs miracles and has won so many games that this team really probably didn't deserve to win, right? But because of his heroics and just absolute insane plays that the guy makes, um, you almost kind of come to expect it. And when it doesn't happen, you're surprised and you kind of go, "Oh, what's wrong with Patrick?" Well, like the guy's not going to be able to save you every time, right? And so a lot of it comes down to that, I think, as well. I don't know. I lost you guys there for a little bit. I don't know. Did the defense, like, a little bit more of a bright spot? But to me, man, like, we talked about, like, the offense struggling and the inability to protect Patrick kind of came back and was an issue all season and really bit us in the end. To me, like, the defense played pretty good given the circumstance of how awful the offense was playing. But at the same time, like, they couldn't get off the field on third down. That was their issue for most of the year. I mean, you get a sack and you get in second
Right.
14 and you give up a first down. You get a sack on third down and the dude's lined up off sides. You get them in third and 26 and a penalty gives them an automatic first down. There was other situations where we had them in second and third and long and gave up the first down, right? Nick, overall thoughts on just how the defense played and how much blame do they have? Definitely not as much as the offense.
Yeah, I think they played well enough for us to win if we had even struggled on offense, right? They got put in a couple of bad spots where they, interception at the 14-yard line, right? Field position, Ariza did not perform well as a punter. I think he'll probably be gone next year. So that it was the defense was starting like in bad field position a lot. They did have some mistakes that cost them. But overall, I feel like they put up a pretty good effort. Like, you got to consider the fact that, like, they're going up against a really good offense, and like the Chiefs offense puts up 13 yards in the first half. Like there's not a lot of defenses. It's not that there's no defenses. There's not a lot of defenses that are gonna be able to hold up in that situation. Now, could they have played better? Yeah, definitely, right?
I was about to say, how much of that 13 yards do you put on, like, the defense not being able to get off the field, especially when they got them in second and third and long, and not giving the offense maybe a couple more opportunities? I mean, the Eagles defense was stopping us on every drive and getting off the field on third down, right?
Yeah, look, it's possible, but sitting there and saying you guys are going to get 3 and outs over and over and over again because our offense isn't going to be able to get a first down, and then you're also going to get the ball at the 14-yard line, and I need you to hold it to 3, right? And like you're like, I just don't think that it's not like a realistic ask of the defense based on what that defense did this year to do that, right? Yeah, dude, like there was some really bad, like we talked about third down being an issue with the defense for weeks now, right? I mean,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
so like we knew that was a weakness. One of the disappointing things was Watson coming back and really, I think, having a poor game, getting beat like bad, and giving up. I think he gave up the dagger touchdown where it was like, now the game is over, right? So yeah, look, the whole team underperformed, but I still think that if the offense had some sort of success, the defense played well enough for us to win. I mean, that's how I feel about it. No, they didn't have an A game. They had like a B minus game, and then you add on to that the offense basically was like just null and void for most of the game. Like they're just not going to hold up.
Yeah, dude. I echo your sentiments exactly, right? They did as bad as well as you could in that position. I feel like they did come up with a couple stops and they forced them to punt. I mean, that first drive was as hilarious as it was. I text you guys because there were so many Eagles fans giving me like, "Oh, the refs give you all," like right here, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And just loving it. I just laughing that happened on the first drive, you know. But there was some opportunities, and like Nick said, we just couldn't get anything going. There was, I don't know. I wouldn't even say they got a B game, man. Maybe like a C or a D plus. I think they still played pretty abysmal defense. I agree with you. Like, had the offense done something, maybe it would have been a game, right, with the turnovers that you got all the. If you were to say those turnovers didn't happen, which I fucking hate doing because they happened, but like you could arguably take almost 17 points off, and then you're right there at that game. But even then, we're still getting our ass kicked in every single way. There was even that play where Nick Bolton was lined up on AJ Brown, and you're just like, how are we letting this happen right now? Like on the biggest game, you know what I mean? This should not be happening. But yeah, and to me, I was mostly surprised too with Watson and McDuffie being there, being healthy, and kind of just getting cooked all night, and you kind of with as much as we game planned for trying to stop the run game and Saquon, you kind of expect those guys to kind of open up a little bit, like some 1-on-1, but man, not like that. I thought. I mean, credit Jalen Hurts. He was dropping some darts, man. He was making the throws when he needed to. He put them there, and his guys stayed in bounds. But like at the same time, he had those guys were right there in coverage. Should be making plays too. Um, but yeah, I mean, there were times we got in Jalen's face. I mean, we got to him. There was great pressures. There were good plays, but then like as Scott pointed out, just negated by a finger offsides, or an untimely penalty and all that stuff. Not even trying to blame the refs or anything, but yeah, you just shooting yourself in the foot at that point, and it's yeah. So like I would say D plus, maybe a C minus grade performance from the defense, and F all around everywhere else though.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, Kevin's pointing out they gave up 34 points. And the last time we played this team 2 years ago in the Super Bowl, they gave up 35 points. And the offense, did they put them in some bad spots? Yeah, but I just go back to when it's 2nd and 16, you need to get the offense the ball back. When it's
Yeah,
3rd and
yeah, no,
9,
that's
3rd and
100%.
12, 3rd and 13, and you continuously can't get off the damn field, like, especially when the offense is struggling. Like, give them some more chances to try some different things and see what they work. Like the time of possession. I understand a lot of it was on the offense, but a big part maybe was. I mean, I think it was almost halftime in the offense. The Chiefs had 6 minutes of time of possession. Maybe a couple more drives, you get a chance to maybe try a few more running plays. So I'm definitely not trying to say like the defense lost us the game, right? They were the better unit. Which isn't saying much though, right? I mean, if the offense got an F, I'm giving the defense that same like C minus D plus grade, maybe barely passing, but you gave up a bomb touchdown pass. You gave up several long pass plays on 3rd down. You had 2, which I'm going to call bullshit penalties. And I've had some kind of fun with some people I know, right? And talking about the game in person. People I know that are fans of other teams that were kind of talking shit. I'm like, what are you talking shit for? Like, what are you, Eagles fans, especially a couple people I know? I'm like, it's the NFL's rigged and scripted, right? Like, why are you
Right.
celebrating your rigged and scripted win? Like, oh, well, no, so it's only rigged and scripted when the Chiefs win. When everybody else wins, it's completely legit. Like, that whole contradiction in logic and that just fallacy, right? Of that argument, I think has really been funny online. Yeah, with Chiefs win, it's rigged. When anybody else wins, it wasn't rigged. Like, if you thought the NFL was rigged for the Chiefs, you really think they would not let them get the three-peat? You know what I'm saying? Like, you want Patrick to be the greatest ever. That's the narrative. So,
or they can only rig the games when the teams allow it to be close, right? They're like, well, we totally fixed the league, but only when the teams play close. It's like that. Well, that sounds
in
like
a one-score game.
It's a pretty shitty system. You know what I mean? Like, you can only rig it if the teams cooperate with you, but they're not in on it either. It's just flat earth level stupid, man.
Right. And, dude, and a couple other, the other thing, too, is even when the offense got plays going, DeAndre Hopkins had a terrible drop. Kelsey had a couple of drops, right? I mean, that D-Hop play could have been a game changer on that third down, right? I mean,
wide open,
the most sure-handed receiver maybe in NFL history comes to the Chiefs and then drops a pass.
Trips over his own 2 feet and drops a pass in the middle of the field. Like, nobody around him. I mean, I'm sure you guys saw all the replays. There's not a guy within 10 yards of him, right? I mean, there was a guy in front of him covering somebody else. Maybe that guy turns around and gets him. Who knows about a touchdown? That guy's getting inside the red zone for sure. That was one of the more disappointing plays for me for sure.
Right. I brought Dylan's comment up here about the defense. They had to be tired. Yeah, but I guess my point is part of the reason they were so tired is because they couldn't get off the field in situations where they should have got off the field. too. Like some of that is on them. It's not all on the offense. I mean, get a stop on 3rd and 9. Don't like have a penalty. Was it a weak penalty on Nick Bolton? Yeah. How many times have you seen like a guy get hit after the ball is past him or whatever? I thought Saquon kind of flopped a little bit on that play too, as well, which is funny. That whole narrative, no one said anything about that after the game. But yeah, part of the reason you were tired and worn out was because you were getting them in 2nd and 3rd and long and couldn't get off the field, and it wasn't like it was just this game. So um, I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of tired of like dwelling like on all the shitty stuff, right? Like,
Yeah. Big Doug was bringing
Yeah.
up some good shit. Like there are some good things that
yeah,
did happen, right? Even though if you did watch the New Heights podcast, it didn't seem as great as it sounded. But Travis Kelsey passes Jerry Rice for the all-time leading catcher in a Super Bowl. And then Xavier Worthy just blows the doors off the record for most yards by a rookie in a Super Bowl. I think it was like previous one was like what 102, and I think he got like 140 or something like that. Crushed it. So yeah, let's start talking about things like that. And
yeah,
next
Xavier
year,
Worthy, man, like I'm really excited about what that dude can do next year. Look, man, like you watched AJ Brown and Devontae Smith out there have really good games and play well. I think the Chiefs, they've maybe got an AJ Brown, Devontae Smith with Rasheed Rice coming back and Xavier Worthy, man. Like I saw a lot of people, oh yeah, Xavier Worthy got a lot of those yards in garbage time. Dude, he got him when the Eagles were playing prevent defense and trying not to give up long, quick scoring plays to hold the lead, right? I mean, that makes it even more impressive to me. I mean, that one touchdown, he the 50 plus yard or whatever it was that he had. I guess he had two of those. The second one, that was in double coverage, right? Like the fact that it was garbage time had nothing to do with him making those plays. He was burning prevent defense for 50 plus yard touchdowns. Nick, Xavier Worthy, and maybe Rasheed Rice come back next year. I mean, what do they have with those two guys?
Yeah, as we see, and time will tell on Travis Kelsey if he's back next year, right? On the podcast today, it seemed a lot more like he's out than in, but this is also 2 days after the biggest letdown of his career, so we'll give him time. If you're saying anything bad about Travis Kelsey on Twitter or internet, just go ahead and delete your account now. That guy doesn't know us fucking anything. And he is like one of the greatest Chiefs in the history of the franchise. So, but that said, like with his career kind of coming to an end here, you see like a path forward for what the next generation of great pass catchers can be, in Rasheed Rice being like a bigger guy, right? Kind of that quick slant, good over the middle type receiver. And then you see Xavier Worthy like being able to take the top off of the defense and having good hands and maybe overcoming some of those rookie mistakes that we saw. I mean, dude, Patrick Mahomes threw that ball like 65 yards in the air. I mean, that's
right?
an
Yeah, he launched it.
insane throw and catch. Now I know it's in garbage time, right? So,
On the money.
yeah, but garbage time has nothing to do with the fact that he made the throw and the Xavier Worthy made the catch, right? So like, so I feel good about what that means for our future. It also means that we don't have to maybe look at some of these skill positions as heavily going into the draft, and maybe we can, like take a look at maybe some of the real meat and potatoes of the team on the lines here, and see what we can do with some of our draft capital to do that, and pick up a running back. Like I think this draft is pretty loaded in the middle rounds, and so if we could get like, I'm not going to say a real running back, but like a top tier running back with those pass catchers and Patrick Mahomes, I think, that was the bright spot for me coming out of the game, is like, okay, like the future is still bright. We still have a young roster. We still have Patrick Mahomes. He's still in his prime. We have good pass catchers on the team, and yeah. So I mean, that's kind of how I felt about it.
Are either of you guys concerned at all for Rasheed Rice's pending legal troubles, right? Do you think because it's a little bit further out removed, there's not as much tension around it, not as much like, I don't know, it's not as much in the moment. That you think like with his injury and everything, he gets like a little time served and maybe less of a penalty, like maybe only like 4 game suspension? Or are you guys still thinking it's going to be like the 6 to 8? Because like I agree with you. I love the idea of that 1-2 combo. But if we're not seeing it till week 8 or 9, like that could, I don't know, we got to do something else. And we're already going to be in free agent hell next year. Like there is, I think I saw a list of like 15 or 16 guys that are up for free agency. I mean, I know we're going to get a lot of them back, but a lot of them are going to be commanding top money too. So it's going to be interesting. I think the salary cap goes up next year, if I'm not mistaken, too. So that's also beneficial there, but so does everybody else's around the league. But yeah, about Rasheed Rice, what do you guys? You guys think? You guys think he comes back as soon as like 4 games?
6. I'm guessing 6.
Yeah, I think you got to plan on him coming back like around week 7 next year. The injury he suffered is what, a 9 or 10 month recovery time. He got injured in week 4.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe he could be healthy for week 1, but I think you're looking at least a 4-game suspension, if not maybe 6. I think the length of time that's passed and with him missing this year with injury, I think that does help a little bit with how long of a suspension he serves. I don't know that he'll end up missing like a full year and a half because of injury and suspension. But yeah, no, he's gonna come back. And look, this team has shown, like we talked about, with patchwork O line and Tyreek Hill being out for some games in the past, Travis Kelce missing games. Like this team can find a way to go 3-1 or 4-2 in a 5 or 6 game stretch, maybe without their star guys. Um, I think the only worry is if he misses like significant time with the injury and then suspension. You saw with Hollywood Brown, right? Like coming back at the end of the year. I don't know like how quick you can get ramped up to game shape and game speed, but Nick, I think you said about the same, right? You're thinking he's probably going to be missing around 5 or 6 games.
Yeah, I think 6. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why I feel like that. The NFL fines and suspensions are not exactly formulaic, right? They seem more like chosen arbitrarily
Yeah,
to use a
exactly.
couple of $5 words there. Yeah, I think that 6 games is probably what we're looking at, and then that puts him coming back in, sometime probably. I mean, hopefully not at the bye, but the after the first quarter of the season at least. But yeah, I do feel good about our ability to weather those games, especially if we could like re-sign a Hollywood Brown or I don't know if D-Hop wants to come back. I mean, I know that he didn't look all that great towards the end of the year, but I don't know how much of that was D-Hop and how much of that was the Chiefs. So,
Yeah, with the way that this team's kind of starved for playmakers, you would have thought DeAndre Hopkins, especially when the postseason rolled around, right? Like there was some thought that the Chiefs were getting him healthy and maybe limiting his snaps to lessen the draft pick that they'd have to give up for him. But once the postseason rolled around, like he still was not really like all that involved. And when he was involved, he was
Yeah, he was
dropping the
quiet.
damn ball, man. Like, and I'm not trying to like sit here and diss on D Hop. He's one of the best wide receivers the league's ever seen, right? And I was excited when they brought him here.
yeah.
And we had the 2 touchdown game against Tampa. He made some good plays in some games and was, I think you could say, played a fairly decent sized role in the Chiefs getting that bye week, right, and getting the number 1 seed. So I don't want to just sit here and dump all over D Hop, right? I mean, but ultimately, there didn't seem like there was a fit there, or it seemed like there was something more to it than that. So, I mean, Hollywood Brown, he missed almost a whole year with injury. That's kind of been a problem with him, injury in his career. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe he's willing to sign a 1-year deal and come back similar to the 1-year deal he signed to come play here. I don't know if there's a much better market for the guy after missing another year because of injury. I don't think teams are gonna be lined up longer, and offering him more money. So I mean, I'd like to see him maybe come back as like a 3rd or 4th receiver, maybe do something in the draft.
There's a lot of free agents on other teams though that have
Yeah.
been kind of speaking up a little bit. I've heard like Cooper Kupp's name been floating around a little bit. Is there anybody else around the league you guys like to see?
Nick?
You talking specifically offense?
Yeah, as like a solid weapon. You know what I mean? I mean, like Cooper Kupp's, I know maybe he's a little bit past his prime as being a solid weapon, but some of it, like Scott was mentioning, a sure-handed veteran that's reliable. I think that's what we were trying to get with Marquise and with D Hop. And like you lose that guy week play one to injury, right? You don't even get to use his talents. And then D Hop, I just feel like I'm with Scott. Like he's insanely talented. I just don't think they ever got the pace rolling with him and Mahomes. I don't think they got on the same page really too much. So I mean, I like I said, like if Rasheed Rice doesn't come back to like week 7, week 8, and we have like a bye week, and we're like not seeing him until like week 9, and Scott mentioned like how fast can you really ramp up a receiver to be game ready, and like
Hmm.
yeah, like the idea of floating out some star receivers. I'm okay with like a Cooper Cup or somebody like that come or like
Yeah, I mean,
that's the only
who
one.
would the options be? I mean, like obviously we're not going to be signing like a T Higgins or like a Jamar Chase level talent. Who else is going to be free?
No, I should have researched that free agency list a little bit more before I asked you this
Well,
question.
no, I mean there was a
Um,
few guys that you mentioned on there. I think you just need it. If you can get a good look, people this is going to piss people off because everybody loves Isaiah Pacheco, but I think the worm's starting to turn a little bit on that guy. Maybe it was
Mhm.
injury, maybe a full off season and rehab and getting back, but he
yeah,
still to me was not like a game breaker, right? I mean, he wasn't a guy that was going to get you big yards regularly and break off long runs. So I feel like with Xavier Worthy, the experience and the confidence that guy has to have gotten towards the end of this year in the playoffs and what he did in the Super Bowl, I think that dude can carry you as your wide receiver one, right? Going into next year and buy you some time till Rasheed Rice comes back. Especially if you can kind of patch up the offensive line and get yourself like a really, really good running back in the draft or something. I think you can buy that time without going. They're not going to go out and overspend on a wide receiver, especially with the way things are looking with the line. I'd like to get you guys' thought. DJ Humphrey, there was a lot of people saying, why didn't they just give that guy a shot, right? Like try it in the Super Bowl. I mean, I'd like to think that Andy Reid and the coaching staff knows what they got, the guys they
Yeah.
got,
maybe.
and if they would have thought he was a better option, they would have done it sooner, right? Than like halftime of the game when you're getting blown out. I mean, but he said he'd like to come back and play on this team. I know he's not a spring chicken, but he's also not like a 35 or 36-year-old guy.
Right.
He had some injury issues. That's why he wasn't signed, right? Why he was available. Um, Maybe you bring him into training camp and see what he looks like after an off season to maybe get fully healthy and get some time working with Tooney and them guys. I think that's an option. Uh, Pass protection, offensive line. We talked about it. That's was the biggest problem this year. It was the biggest problem in the Super Bowl. How confident are you guys in the Chiefs' ability to go out, especially with a guy like Trey Smith, who's probably going to leave because he's going to get crazy amount of money that I don't know the Chiefs can match. Um, how strongly do you feel the Chiefs can kind of shore up the O line and make it to where Patrick has time and you're not seeing like this problem like they had this year with them being able to protect him, Bo?
Like on a scale of like 1 to 10, I'd probably get like 7, 7.5. Like fairly confident they can get something done, something decent. I mean, we saw the magic they pulled this year, moving guys around, bringing other guys in, and they'll make it work. It's just that left tackle position. I don't know why we strike out on it so bad. If one of those I had mentioned, we had 5 different guys in 5 Super Bowls. If one of those guys had hit just once, you'd just be like, yeah, all right, they got that, and that we know we can get that covered. But that just seems to be like just a chink in our armor that we can't ever get. So, yeah, 7.5% would be my confidence there.
Which is
75.
which is even kind of like crazier to think with how good the Chiefs have drafted and getting guys like George Karlaftis and Trent McDuffie and going out and finding a guy like Trey Smith in the late
Yeah,
rounds and a
Jalen Watson and
Leo Chanel and Jalen Watson and a L'Jarius Sneed and a Nick Bolton and these guys, right? They just cannot draft left tackles. Like
yeah,
it's
Yeah.
a
it's
disaster.
yeah,
And it's not even like they brought guys in that were average or I mean Wanye Morris and now he was dealing with a knee injury this year, so I don't know how close to 100% that guy was, but he was on the team the year before and they felt the need to draft Kingsley and
right.
And that those guys were turnstiles, man. Like it wasn't even an option to put them on the
Yeah,
field.
not even competitive enough to
Right.
be on the field, right?
I mean, not NFL level production or players at this point. Nick, I mean, how confident are you that they're going to be able to figure out maybe this left tackle position and get this line sorted out before next year?
Hold on, we got a John V sighting. He's here to dance on our graves.
Hey-o.
No, hey, look, man, John. Look, I got to tell you,
Great dude.
John V was like sending us DMs and like he was pulling for us and hoping that we'd get the three-peat and sent us a message before the game. Was like, I'm with you guys today. So,
Yeah. No,
John
I
V,
know.
good dude, man.
Don't tell Tony.
We,
Oh no, he's a Bills fan.
we love you, buddy. I didn't think you were really coming here just to talk a bunch of shit.
I didn't really think he did. I just want everybody to know John V is a stand-up dude. I mean, we've taken him down in the Super Bowl twice, and the guy's still coming to our show.
Yeah,
Go
he's
get
a
it, man.
top
I'm on
human.
your side. I'm rooting for you. So really appreciate it. John V, solid dude, man.
Yeah, top level human. Yeah, look. So here's how I feel about the Chiefs left tackle. Like, I like to cook, and I can cook a lot of really good food, right? I can't bake worth a shit. So if I want a really good pie or a really good cake or something, like I go to the store and I spend a lot of money on something I can make for a lot less money.
I like
at,
it.
At a store and I think that's where they're at with the draft and the left tackle position. Like you spent all this money on Jawan Taylor. That money, Scott, we've talked about this. It should have gone towards the left tackle. You should have got somebody is good. We did it with Joe Tooney, right? Like, dude's awesome. We're going to pay him. He's going to come in. He's going to be really good for us. That's what the Chiefs need to do is they need to, and now I haven't looked at the left tackle free agent market, so I don't know what's out there. But, if DJ Humphrey, he wants to try to, get a shot to get on the team, cool. Like we shouldn't, say no, but that shouldn't be like our plan A. That should be like our plan C,
Right.
Or plan B.
Right.
Like we should be looking and saying, okay, so who's like established that we know is good, because guys, like the clock's ticking on Patrick Mahomes' career. Like we can't afford to waste years of his career because we can't protect him, on the most important position on the offensive line. So, I mean, I think they should definitely go line in the draft in the first round. And try to get somebody this year that we know is going to be solid at a position of need there. But left tackle, like I think we got to go to the market and we got to figure out what to do. And they can convert Patrick's money to a roster bonus or whatever. They can figure this out if Clark Hunt is willing to put up the money to pay the dudes up front. So
yeah, man, I think you nailed it.
Yeah, drafting late in the first round makes it harder to get a left tackle. And the Chiefs' defense, they did try to go out and sign Trent Williams and steal him away from John V's Niners, and he chose to stay. So, but yeah, no, Patrick Mahomes, I was just thinking about this. It was like, this is his like 7th or 8th year coming up in the league, man. Like, clock is ticking. Like Nick said, you got to figure out a way to protect him. And you got to find a way to give him weapons to where he can get back to being Patrick Mahomes, because they won back-to-back Super Bowls with the short passing and the ball control, whatever. But, like, dude, that's like you got a Ferrari and you don't want to, like, put the right gas in it or the right tires or something, so you're driving it around like it's a Corvette, man. Like, no, man, you got a Ferrari. You got to figure out how to maximize that guy and what he can do. And that comes down to protecting him and giving him weapons to throw the ball. I think the weapon thing is going to be there. You saw Noah Gray take a pretty good step forward this year.
Right.
He's got an extension, so he's going to be on the team for a couple of years. If you can add like a good, solid running back in the draft this year, if you can get yourself, a good left tackle and give Patrick some time with Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy and Noah Gray, and maybe even a post-prime Travis Kelce, a guy you can kind of count on to move the chains and draw some attention from the defense. The Chiefs are in a good spot. I know it feels like doom and gloom because you just got rolled over right in the Super Bowl, but it's not as bad as it seems, man. Like,
right.
No way.
This team got rolled over by the Buccaneers and was back in the AFC Championship game with an 18-point lead in the first half, man. So they're going to jump right back on this horse and ride it, man. It's going to be fine. They're going to be good next year. they're going to be one of the favorites, if not the favorite in the AFC. Just got to fix a couple things, and I think they're on track with the weapons and the offense. It's just going to take some work to get that line going. I got to figure it out though. Like failure is no longer an option, right?
Right.
No, yeah, I agree. I was gonna bring up, yeah, the last time. I mean, we've been here before. It's the same company kind of coming out, the same recruiting guys, the same management, the same coach from the last time we got our ass whooped in the Super Bowl like this, right? We know how to bounce back from this. We know what the steps we need to take. I mean, especially when it's that glaring obvious, just like it was in the Tampa Bay Super Bowl, right? It's the O line. So I mean, like, yeah, you just focus and like you really nail those positions down and you start letting the rest take care of itself. So I have no qualms with our ability to go out and find talent even really late. Like we mentioned all those seventh round draft picks we had. So yeah.
Um, I don't know. I mean, you guys got anything? I think so. Someone saw. I think it was Laney maybe asked earlier if we thought Kareem Hunt would be back. Would you guys be in favor of having Kareem Hunt back on the team as like a backup running back? Nick.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he, is a second option if he's available. I mean, he's going to be another year older. You got to think that you'd be able to find something on the market maybe that's a little bit better than Kareem Hunt with the off season. I'm crushed for him that he didn't, get to experience the championship like with his teammates and stuff. But I mean, I think that there's probably some better replacement level backs available out there that, you could get for same money. So he does know the system. So maybe, but I mean, he's going to be probably on the wrong side of 30 by the time next season starts, right, for running back. So unless they're thinking of him as like that third option or something, I'm kind of meh on bringing him back.
I mean, I'd rather have Kareem Hunt than Carson Steele personally.
Sure. Yeah,
Bo,
no, I
what do
mean,
you
that's a
think?
no-brainer. Would you give up some Ajay P. Ryan for him?
I don't know. That's a good question. Bo, what do you think about Kareem Hunt coming back? Is he back? Do you want him back?
Yeah, I would take him back. I mean, I feel like he we as long as the talks with management and him remain consistent through the offseason and that dude isn't remaining in limbo as whether or not he'll have a job next year, and he kind of goes to work out and keeps in shape and then goes to OTAs and all the summer camps and all that stuff, right? I think that'd be something else. I think there's enough tread left on those tires. He for bringing him in mid-season doing what he did, I think he did a phenomenal job. um Kind of hard to blame him for any lack of a run game when he was literally getting tackled as the ball was getting handed off to him. So it's like I can't really put it on his shoulders. I mean, it's just yeah, like that O line. Yeah, I'm with you as far as like the position group. I think he ranks number two there. I put P Ryan and him as one and two, and so I'd like to see those two guys back over Steele and Pacheco. But I'd give like I said, also give Pacheco that time to rest, and maybe I think he might. I agree with you guys. He might have bounced back a little too quickly from that injury.
Yeah, and hey, I could commend the guy for coming back, right? And probably wasn't 100%. Probably didn't feel the best, right? I mean, so I don't want to dump all over the guy, but it's a results based business, and we'll see what they do. Yeah, Lane's point out we kept the same,
Chill.
so I mean we could at least look, man. Kareem Hunt is like your third down goal line pass protection
Yeah,
back.
sure.
He showed that he could make some plays. Out of the backfield catching the ball. He's good at getting that 1 or 2, 3 yards, right? Especially which is helpful at the goal line. Um, I'd like to think that he can come back, and I'd like to think that he could play a role on a team. You're not going to have RB1 at all three running back positions
Sure.
in the NFL, so I would not be opposed to him back. We'll see what they do. They might look and see like what they do in the draft, right, and evaluate and see where they're at the position. Um, but yeah, that was one of the people I was most disappointed for, right? Was Kareem Hunt, man, like not getting to like get that ring, right, and not
Right.
like get to like watch the confetti come down and but sometimes the mistakes you make cost you. dearly.
Oh man, he got to play in a Super Bowl after not
He
having
did
to
get to
go
come
through
back and
the
play in a Super Bowl,
hardest
right?
part of
Yeah,
that first season.
right. Yeah, no, for sure. But um, last kind of point I wanted to make was, I don't think Patrick Mahomes has ever or will ever watch this show, but like, dude, the post he put out after the game where he's like, "I'm sorry, Chiefs Kingdom, I let you all down." I felt like bad as a fan, like that he felt like the need to come out and apologize, bro. That guy has done so much for this team and this city, and has given like me and the rest of Chiefs Kingdom like some of like the best sports, not even just sports, just some of like the best like times and memories, right? Um, that I felt like shit almost, or felt like I don't even know the feeling. Like when I saw like he was apologizing to us, man. Like first of all, he said I played like crap. I gotta play better. That's on me. It wasn't on him. Okay, we talked about that at the beginning of the show, but if you ever watch the show, Patrick, you don't need to apologize for nothing, man. He's the best quarterback in the league. He has the best start to any quarterback in the NFL in history, and he's still well on pace to be the most accomplished quarterback to ever play. So, yeah, Patrick, man, keep chin up, bro. I just do that tweet like got to me somehow, man. I just
Yeah,
don't
these
know.
guys don't owe us shit. You know what I
He
mean?
was
Like,
apologizing to me, like, and there was like people online saying, "Oh, maybe don't have kids during the playoffs and during the
oh yeah,
season,
fucking loser.
and maybe don't like dude," and just stuff like that, and like, "Oh, Travis, bro, like, what are you doing on this one play, man? Like, hang it up, it's over." The dude had fucking 900
Right.
yards this year, and had what 7 or 8 or 9 catches with over 100 yards and a touchdown in a playoff game this year, man. Like, he's still got it. He's like, people just need to get a grip, man.
This
Yeah.
we're talking about some bright spots. One of the bright spots is that I figured out a lot of people that I hadn't muted on X that I really should have had muted, because dude, there were people that were right after the game was at the Kingdom or whatever that account is, saying, "I love you, Patrick Mahomes, but that is the worst performance I've ever seen by somebody," and like added directly at him. Like, get a grip on your freaking life.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier in the
Yeah.
show. Like, I didn't want to call him out by name, but Nick just did. So,
Nice.
yeah, dude, the worst performance you've ever seen by a quarterback in your life, bro. Like, you have not been watching the Chiefs very long. Like, I've seen a lot of
Dude,
really,
yeah,
really
that's
shitty
wild, right?
quarterback
Because
performances, man.
like you understand where Patrick's coming from, right? Like, yeah, like you could always look back on any game and say he could have played better, right? But as far as like having to apologize for the Kingdom, yeah, no way. The funniest through line I've heard from all the Chiefs players, right, is like, well, you remember the losses kind of more than you remember the wins. They hurt more, right? And I'm like, dude, do you know how many losses we had to endure and suffer through, and how much false hope we had with like a playoff, like just making the playoffs, right? Or like, hey, we won the AFC West and you're out, right? Just like so many years, just so much darkness that like, yeah, him breaking that for everybody, like, oh man, we lost in the Super. Nobody's mad at that guy. Come on, let's get real. Like, I mean, I know there's some pounders out there that they just love to troll online, but dude, like as far as like real dedicated fans, man, like we appreciate those guys. The same with Travis Kelsey, dude. Like
I just think
the talks of him retiring and everything, like dude's 2-3 days from like literally just having, arguably not him, but like just the team having arguably one of the worst games in a really long time. I mean, like that's like the first playoff game we've lost in 3 years, like, and to lose it that way and you're 2 days removed, and now you're starting to ask like all these questions about 4 or 5 months from now. Like, give the guy a week at least, man. Come on, let him go get a vacation in or something and relax. Like, no, like everybody, I love the overreactions to everything this week. It's been great.
Look, and if the worst thing that happens to you as a fan or a player is you come up one game short of a three-peat, which has never been done in NFL history, you're still living pretty fucking good, man.
right.
Exactly.
You're still doing pretty good. So we're right here at about an hour. I got to jump off of here and get going. So really appreciate you guys coming on this night. I know a lot of shows where there ain't nothing to talk about. I'm not coming on. Like, we're like the Postal Service, man. Rain, shine, snow, sleet, hail. Dude, we're going to be here the good times and the bad times. And we've ridden with this team through a lot worse than losing out on a chance for a free game. So Really appreciate everybody jumping in here in the chat. Really good to see everybody. Really did appreciate the kind words, and you were cheering us on, John V. After he knows what it's like to losing Super Bowls right here, man. And he's still showing up, so I appreciate that. It was good to see Laney and Big Doug, and I saw Kevin,
man.
Dylan,
Appreciate everybody that showed up today.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
Friday,
sure.
thank you, Freddie.
Freddie, it's been a good season. Unbelievable. Like one of the best seasons of my life as a Chiefs fan, right? And you just came up just a little bit short in the Super Bowl, but they're gonna be back next year, and they'll fix the problems and they'll fill the holes, and they'll be the team to beat in the AFC, again next year. So
Arrowhead
it'll be all right.
Invitational.
It's gonna be all good. Not sure when we'll have a show again. Maybe take a week or two off here, but if there's any Chiefs news, make sure you're following us on social media accounts. Keep up to date on your news there. It's looking like our man Tony's showing up right here at the end, man. Sorry.
Ooh, Cam Robinson, I like that.
Yeah, he's not a player I'm going to say that I'm real familiar with, but if he could at least slow somebody down a little bit at left tackle, I'll hear the argument.
Anybody at this point.
If he
I'm
could
gonna go try out.
I mean, if he could have let Joe Tooney go back to left guard and at least, like I said, be a speed bump and be a hindrance to slow someone down a little bit, because Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice can be really good next year, and the Chiefs are going to be really good again next year. So, Bo, Nick, good to see you guys as always.
Likewise.
There'll be the combine, there'll be the draft, and then we'll be talking about training camp, and the next thing you know, it'll be fucking week 1, and this next year's season will be here. So thanks again for all the support for the show, for watching. Love you guys. Good to see you. Until next time.
Cheers.
Go Chiefs.
Let's go Chiefs.
Chiefs.
I wasn't ready. Hold on.
I wasn't.